A months-long investigation led local and federal law enforcement agencies to detain nearly 50 people during a raid in West Adams County this weekend. The Rocky Mountain Division of the Drug Enforcement Administration provided us this video after they say they detained dozens of people with ties to the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. The agency says they seized drugs, money, and guns at what they're calling a private TDA party. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles. We have a lot of unanswered questions about this story, and tonight our team is actively working to still learn more. Steve Stager is breaking down what we still don't know after today's raid, but let's start with Janelle Finch. She joins us live from the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Office in Aurora tonight. Janelle?
Jenny, of the 49 that were detained this morning, DEA says at least 41 are undocumented. They still won't tell us how many are members of Tren de Aragua, but they did say that those with confirmed affiliations have been turned over to ICE custody. Federal investigators hope Colorado streets are safer after an early Sunday morning raid in Adams County. The Rocky Mountain Drug Enforcement Administration says they detained nearly 50 people with ties to a Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. Special Agent David Oleski.
Correct. That's correct.
Says the raid happened in a TDA-affiliated location on the 6600 block of Federal Boulevard. Oleski says the building was on their radar for months.
This search warrant today was secured based on our drug trafficking investigation, and that a significant portion of those that are present have Tren de Aragua's ties, and then there's going to be an assortment of other individuals that are in there.
The DEA couldn't confirm how many people arrested were TDA members. Oleski says they all have at least connections to someone in the organization.
What I know just from my history and all of us who work at DEA is that in an after parties like this, you're not going to get invited to this location unless you're a trusted member of the group or have somebody vouching for you. This was not an event that was open to the public.
He says these arrests support getting drugs and guns off Colorado streets and toward a safer state.
So that's what was the window through which we were looking at this at DEA, was their drug trafficking related activity, and this operation did result in a combination of drugs, money, and weapons being seized. And so it confirmed and corroborated everything that we've been saying by the results we got today.
The DEA wouldn't say how much money was seized or share details on the weapons that were taken in, but they did say that in evidence, the drugs that were seized were cocaine, another type of cocaine called 2C, as well as crack. Live in Aurora, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
All right, Janelle, thank you. We still have a lot of unanswered questions from law enforcement officials about what happened this weekend. Our Steve Stager is continuing our team coverage tonight. Steve, you've been working your sources trying to learn some more. We've got some late things answered, still a few things outstanding.
Yeah, so we're trying to get a sense of what exactly went on here. There are still a lot of those open questions. First, let's look at the video that's provided by the DEA, video of a bus with approximately 50 people on board. The DEA is the only agency talking about this today, so we've been trying to fill in some of the blanks. For instance, DEA says 41 of the 49 people who were at the club were determined to be in the country illegally by ICE. We don't know if the other 8 people were detained. The Adams County Sheriff told me today that he's unaware of anyone detained in this operation who is currently in the Adams County Jail. Also unclear, the DEA says that they seized weapons, cash, and drugs, but won't say how much money, if those weapons were illegal or illegally possessed, and they won't tell us the quantity of drugs seized, only that they seized cocaine, crack cocaine, and what Janelle was talking about there, that 2C, which is also known as pink cocaine. The U.S. Attorney's Office, which would prosecute any federal drug, money, or weapons cases, would not comment to us this afternoon either. And the local DA in Adams County told me by phone this afternoon that his office has not been contacted by the feds. The DEA did tell us that this is still an active investigation. We could learn as early as tomorrow if any federal cases are filed against the people who were detained here. The agency did thank federal, state, and local partners who made up the 100 law enforcement officers who were on scene, but wouldn't name the state and local agencies involved in this. Adams County Sheriff Gene Claps told me that a few of his deputies provided perimeter vehicles at the crime scene, but nothing else. In the studio, Steve Stager, 9 News Investigates.
All right, Steve, thank you. Colorado state officials and law enforcement have shut down a multi-county drug trafficking ring. A grand jury indicted 10 people. According to the Office of the State Attorney General, the drug trafficking ring spanned from Adams to Prowers counties between February and October of last year. Law enforcement seized several illegal drugs, including fentanyl and cocaine. Suspects have been charged with several drug felonies. All right, let's turn our attention to the forecast now. Live look out of Denver this evening. Another day below freezing temperatures. We did get a break from the snow today, and warmer weather is expected back in the forecast this week. Let's get right over to 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen with more on this warming trend. A look at your work week forecast. Corey, we never got above freezing today.
No, this Arctic air just kind of sat in place here, barely got into the 20s at Denver International Airport. The cold air will move out by tomorrow about noon. So then we'll start a nice little warm up that could last 6 or 7 days. So current temperatures here, we made it up to 20, well, it just went back down to 27 degrees at Central Park, 27 at 9 News Studios, only made it up to 23 at Denver International Airport, and it's down to 22 right now. So we'll have a lot of snow that will need to be melted. The totals are in now for the snow that we had, more than 24 hours of snowfall. Really, it's going to go down as one of the nicer storms of the season. 1 to 4 inches in Denver, the South Metro, and the East Side. Over here along the foothills, we saw a good 5 to 8 inches. Probably the best storm of the year on the Northern Front Range, and some of the foothill locations did pretty well too. So now it'll be all about trying to get that snow melted before our next storm comes in, and tomorrow we'll do the trick. It won't be above freezing probably until about 11 o'clock, but by noon on, we're looking at some really warm temperatures, lots of sunshine, lots of snow melt. I'll talk more about that coming up in the forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Corey, thank you. A Denver firefighter got hurt on the job responding to a warehouse fire this morning. Happened near the intersection of 40th and Walnut Streets. Denver Fire says that warehouse was vacant at the time, and it's not the first time the department responded to this very building. Officials determined that a previous fire was a warming fire. As for today's, the cause is still under investigation. Now, the injured firefighter was taken to the hospital. We do not have an update yet tonight on how he or she is doing. A man suspected of stealing a car was hurt in a shootout with Arvada police early this morning. According to police, officers found that stolen car in an alley near Kipling Parkway. Police say the suspect would not get out of the vehicle and then fired gunshots at the officers. Officers say they returned fire, hit the suspect, and the suspect was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. There are now 3 officers placed on administrative leave.